Hey everybody, welcome into the Delmarva Sports Insider, your award-winning live and local show dedicated to giving you all local sports. I am Sports Director Brandon Boss.
What is up? It is yours truly, sports anchor Devin J. Martin. Welcome into the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, it already feels like a playoff atmosphere out there in a lot of different places that we went to tonight.
And it should be, because it was basically a lot of pseudo playoff games, a lot of games that might determine some seeding, a lot of games that might determine who win a certain division or district or conference. So a lot of heated games that we were glad to be out to tonight.
Yeah, we've already seen some teams already clinching playoff spots in Delaware. We've also seen some division titles out there in Maryland. Let's start with Delaware, though. Up in Lewis, our game of the night between Cape Henlopen and visiting Sussex Central. We really wanted to see what Cape Henlopen can do against a football power like Central. 3A showdown. Central, our number 2 ranked team, taking on Cape, who is our number 5.
Now, Central is coming off a 21-point shutout win over the Dover Senators, and Cape is coming off very impressive. And Cape is coming off of back-to-back blowout wins over Delmar and Caesar Rodney. So someone's hot streak, it has to end.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. And at first, it looked like it was going to be Cape, because the visiting Knights defense was making a huge impact early on in the game. The Vikings just couldn't get anything going in the first couple quarters. Kyle Custis was dominant on the D-line, making Kovalevsky and the Vikings offense run for their lives, literally. Now, Central would capitalize on the great defense. Andrew Long would break open down the middle of the field with a run for the touchdown, but there's flags. You hear those whistles. It's called back, holding on the offense. Now, the Central drive isn't over. So Troy Morris on the play action. He slings it 40 yards. Look at that catch by Patrick Henry. He makes a grab at the 1-yard line. He was a little shaken up, but he'd be back in the game later. Now, Long would finish it off with a goal line drive and score right there, putting Central up 14-0 in the second quarter. And then Henry himself would add to that lead with a touchdown run. And that, you see that right there. The Central goes up 21-0 at halftime.
Yeah, and then the third quarter is when Cape would show some signs of life finally. The kick return from Cape taken back to the opposing 30-yard line, but Central would ruin that momentum with a pick on the end of the drive. Now, that was the story of the night, was Central's defense stymieing the Vikings, holding them to just 14 points tonight as Central wins 42-14. So, man, 42-14, that's a little surprising there.
Yeah, it is surprising. I thought this would be a game that Cape would be able to win in a very, 28-24 type of game at home in front of their home crowd, but Central showed that they're just on a different level than Cape.
Yeah, I thought that Cape Henlopen would at least be able to keep it within 10, maybe 14 points. I expected Central to come out here and win this game, but like we mentioned before, Central is that traditional power that's been there before. They won the championship a couple of years ago. They've got that great ground game that we saw today. Central's defense, led by that defensive line, was fantastic once again.
Yep.
Knight's ground game was spectacular. But you know what could be the difference maker for Sussex Central this season is if we see more from TJ Morris, like that pass that we saw down there near the red zone.
Beautiful. He had a really good game.
That's another dimension that this Central offense could desperately need, especially against an opponent like Smyrna later on.
Yeah, he had a really great game in terms of taking what the defense gave him, making the right plays at the right time, and limiting his mistakes. He did have one turnover in the third quarter, but they were already up big by the time that happened. Now, for more on Central, now they're 6-1 on the year. Their only loss being a shutout to Smyrna, 22-0. Now, their margins of wins have been big. In 5 of their 6 wins, they're winning by more than double digits. more than 10, 14
They're an elite
points.
team.
They've been winning a lot of games by over 20, including tonight. Cape did lose tonight badly, but it's just one game, and they are a team that's on the rise. But Brandon, I don't know how long their window is actually open for, because they were 1-9 last year, but they have 11 seniors, including their QB, that won't be here next year. So this might be the Vikings' best chance to do something in the playoffs.
Well, that's the thing about your seniors. You want them to pass that knowledge down to the juniors, the sophomores that are coming up. So hopefully those seniors will be good role models, good leaders for the next classes to come next season. And maybe Cape can keep that going, keep that momentum going next year. They're doing great things out there in Lewis. Now to the best game of the night in the Henlopen easily. Delmar entertaining the band, entertaining the crowd out there tonight as Delmar was taking on Indian River. And the Wildcats were up 20-7 at halftime. IR would score to close the gap. Gavin Powell getting a scamper for a touchdown there. Fourth down's the theme of the game tonight, though. IR on fourth down near the red zone. Pass out to the flat. They convert on 4th and long. Later in the drive, it's Hayden Hall gets the call, and there he goes, slipping the tackle, finding the corner, and Hall is in for the score. Delmar gets the ball back, drives down the field, eating most of the clock as they would bring the field goal unit out, and it's blocked.
Oh, wow.
Hayden Hall recovering. 1 minute left in the game, and the ball is now at midfield, down 8. So let's see what happens here. Dylan Grice airing it out, going for it all. Has a man.
What a
it's
catch.
Rashard Hopkins. Touchdown, Indian River.
What a catch.
Wow, you should have been there, folks, because it was fantastic. They're going to go for 2 to try and tie, but Delmar's defense gets to him. Grice goes down, and just like that, Delmar, whew,
wow.
They survive a scare against
Wow.
Indian River. They were up 27-13 late in this game. Indian River came back, and they nearly got them to go to overtime in this one.
Wow,
Final
what a
score,
game.
27-25.
What a game. Now to Greenwood, Woodbridge, and Milford in a two-way battle, and just watch the hard running by Tracy Johnson. Thought he was stopped at the line, but he stays on his feet and reverses field, gets to the sideline, and there he goes, setting up Woodbridge deep into Milford territory. That run sets up Johnson's short touchdown to begin the second quarter. And the Blue Raiders out in front, and that's all they would need. You see the big hit by Desmond Aladuje, the Duke commit. Milford is having a tough year, but Desmond making his presence known. You see that right here. Boom. Wow. Woodbridge shuts out Milford tonight. The first half comes to an end thanks to a CI, a trick. Stones. Woodbridge defeats Milford 14-0.
And now let's go ahead and check out the rest of those scores from the Henlopen today. Laurel, big winners over First State Military Academy, 41-6. Caravel shuts out Lake Forest. Now, we talked about this earlier today. Could Lake Forest solve that Caravel defense that's giving up fewer than 6 points per game? Obviously, they couldn't today.
Yep, the answer was no.
And Odessa, 14-12 winners over Polytech. Seaford takes care of Early College. And Red Lion wins against Sussex Tech 42-27. So we know some of the teams that will be in the playoffs this season. As of right now, Smyrna is the only team from the 3A that's clinched in the District 2. We could see Dover and Sussex Central clinching as well very soon. In the 2A, Delmar, Lake Forest, they look like they should be okay. Delmar 4-3, Lake Forest 5-2. Sussex Tech could be on that bubble. And in 1A, looks like Laurel, IR, Seaford, they're all in as well. So, Devin, my question to you is, who do you think could make a deep run that maybe we don't talk about as much?
I think you mentioned two teams that stand out to me that could make a deep run. For the 1A, it's a team that I have talked about a little bit, Seaford. I think they can make some noise in the 1A and shake the tree in the playoffs. And my other team is Central. Central lost in the second round last year. Plenty of motivation to go deeper this season. Both sides of the ball look really good. That defense is really strong. They've given up more than 20 points in only 2 of their 7 games. That means the other 5 games they've held their opponents under 20. And you know, not as great as defense as Caravel, but still really, really good defense. And good defense will take a team far in the playoffs this season.
It sure will. The thing about Central is, you know, I think they can get to the semifinals this year. I think they can easily get to the semifinals. It's just a matter of, can you beat Middletown or Smyrna? Those are going to be the 2 teams that everyone's going to have to get through to get to the championship game in the 3A. And out of all of these teams that we listed, I think has a decent chance is Lake to
Forest.
Maybe make a quarterfinal run, and if they get the right matchup, maybe be a semifinalist in the 2A. In the 3A, I don't see anyone going to the finals outside of Smyrna and Middletown. Sally's is up there, but Central has the next best case, and we're going to need to see some more dynamics from that offense.
Especially, that offense. As you mentioned, Troy Morris has got to do just a little bit more, and the rest of that team needs to help him to kind of push them over the field. But that defense is really good.
And then in 1A, of course, it's Laurel and everyone else.
Yep.
All right, that'll do it for the A block. We've got another top 5 matchup for you tonight. Decatur and Easton. Could the Warriors continue that impressive run of success against top teams? Well, that's coming up next on DSI.
Hey, I am Brandon Turner with Delmarva Football, and you are watching Delmarva Sports Insider.
Cape.